take. Second, hard decision-making requires a keen sense of neutrality to avoid being colored by our own biases, because we carry lots of biases by our experience, by our history, by our culture. Now, here, the story of a Jewish king called David in the Bible. Those of you who read the Bible, this story is instructive to me when I read it again. In the second book of Kings, chapter 19, David's son, called Absalom, commits treason. He overthrows his father. But then Joab, the commander of the nation's forces, follows and kills Absalom. David, instead of praising the forces of the nation for ending the treasonous episode, David instead weeps for the son who had committed treason. The men who had ended treason are sort of shocked at the turn of events. They question in their minds, should we have abided by the laws of the land? Or should we have let the treason continue? Who are we working for? What should guide us as the army of the land? This is Joab and his team. For David, this was a very painful decision, because the line between a treasonous group and his being the father of the leader of the episode deeply colored decision-making capacities for David. Now, like any parent, one can understand David's very precarious situation when the state and family mix. Now, from a perspective of decision-making in this kind of situation, there is some reflection that this story should force on us, especially on why David was weeping. It seems to me, when I reflected on this situation of David, it seems to me that this situation with Absalom had festered for so long, and David had refused, quotes, to do surgery at his home and at an individual level. He had had terrible mistakes with Bathsheba. Those of you who read the Bible know that. Someone's wife that he had taken. It had led to the death of two other people. The husband of Bathsheba, called Uriah, and the child had also died. Now, the child that came out of this fringe relationship also died. Then one of David's daughters, Tamar, was also raped by her brother Amnon. Too many things happening that needed surgery in the family. And now Absalom carries out a coup d'etat against his father. When I read this story again, I reflected. I thought perhaps David's weeping might not have been about Absalom. Rather, it was weeping over a series of actions that had made his administration at home very difficult, leading to this unfortunate consequence of Absalom. Parenting, ladies and gentlemen, is a very large decision-making laboratory for what eventually citizenship or a citizen, or what I call national collective values of a country should look like. When David's case is expanded to an institutional level, to a country level, it means neutrality in decision-making requires that we often have to act against ourselves, especially when the outcome of a situation that has festered for so long and has been conveniently ignored for so long, if the outcome doesn't favor our preferred opposition, we need to take a neutral stand. We cannot have our cake and eat it too, as the saying goes, as decision makers. We have very limited choices in hard decision making, and would be well advised to act in the best interest of the organization. Have a great week.